Welcome back to Alpacamade. It's great to see you again. It is July 6th, 2020. I hope you survived your celebration nicely. And we've got something a little different today. We're going to infuse oils for both cooking and soaping. You've seen the setup, and so what are we doing today? We're going to infuse some oil. And to do that, I'm going to use up some of my lighter oils. I'm not sure if I'm going to use this today. I might save it for comfrey. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So you need some oils. You need something to infuse, and this is lemon balm. This is the oldest cinnamon surviving on the planet. I'm sure it was part of Moses' stash. I couldn't even tell you how old this cinnamon is, but I'm going to break it up because you can see it's pretty long. I'm going to break it up, and we're going to do the best we can with this as an experiment, a very small amount. So we'll set that aside for now. This is lemon balm. I've already done a lemon balm, a large one, because I wanted it to go with my lemongrass. Let me get it in frame here. I wanted it to go with my lemongrass, and disappointed in this. This has been sitting in a warmer and steeping at maybe 110 or 115 for days now, maybe as long as a week or even over a week. I can't even tell you at this point because I didn't write it down, but I could figure it out if I needed to. This produced a beautiful green color and 0 scent. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this. I might just use it for color. Let's set it aside because we have another. And this is really what I should have done. We have another test measurement for lemon balm to try it again. So what do you need for this? You need some clean jars, right? You need some clean jars. You don't need the caps right now, but you will need the caps eventually. And then you need some measuring devices. This one's already measured up with comfrey, which we will get to in a second. The comfrey, I measured it up this way because my jars, some of these jars have little narrow necks. This one has a really nice wide neck. And so if you're a big French onion fan, you know, and just suck it up and buy this brand, great jars. Or buy these straight side jars on the internet. You can get them from North Mountain Supply for sure, on Amazon, but this is just, you know, recycling. So let me move this rosemary. I'll talk about it in a minute. You're going to use your handy dandy scale, and you're going to measure out your ingredients. The recommendation that I have come by recently is that you use 1 ounce of herbs to 1 cup of oil. I don't know, I didn't measure. When I did the first two, I didn't measure. I just crammed as much herb in the jar as possible and then covered it, made sure that all the herb was submerged under oil. And for the rosemary, let me tell you, it worked great. Lemon balm, not so much, but I'm willing to give it a second shot. Let's use our comfrey as our example. And this is a little tricky to manage because 30, let me turn that off, 28 ounces, which is approximately a 1-to-1. 28 grams, sorry, not ounces, grams. 28 grams to 1 cup of oil is what we're after. And this is gonna take a few seconds to get it in here because I can't use my wide mouth canning funnel, unfortunately. so let's just poke it down there. I mean, this is, you know, use what you have and do the best you can. With a lot of these infusions, you don't have to throw anything away because you can reuse, you can double infuse. There's quite a few things you can do with this stuff to minimize waste. Now, with the comfrey, this is considered a medicinal herb. It is not recommended that you ingest this herb, although there are many qualified herbalists who will tell you you can ingest it under very controlled conditions. It's never to be given to pregnant women or children under 2 years of age standard. And for comfrey, you know, I would not give a child comfrey until they internally until they gain some weight. And by weight, I mean, you know, you're getting preteen to you know, that adolescent weight is what I'm talking about, closer to adult weight. But let me say this, I'm not a qualified herbalist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse or a nurse practitioner, I don't play one on YouTube, and none of this is to be construed as medical advice. I'm simply repeating to you what my research has told me. And for this application, we're making comfrey salve eventually out of this, but for right now, we're just talking about infusing oils with herbal properties for a variety of reasons. Cooking certainly is one of them, hair care, skin care, and maybe some of them can be used for cleaning purposes. Like, for example, lemon zest can be used for cleaning purposes in with, say, white vinegar or something like that. So you get the idea. This is in no way professional advice. In no way should it be construed as a prescription. It is simply a demonstration. All right, we are there-ish. Let's finish this process, and you'll notice that the cutting mat, the expensive cutting mat, is no longer on this Metro rack. I felt like I had already pushed the envelope. No matter what I did to protect it, it was getting soap and oil all over it, and if I'm going to use it for its intended purposes, which is paper and fabric, then enough's enough. And I spent the day, a couple days ago, I spent the day uploading episodes, some soap episodes, which maybe by now you've already seen, and cleaning up my little studio area. Now, I'm just gonna, I didn't do this with the lemon balm, but I'm gonna just kind of poke this around a little bit, see if I can get it to settle, but not too much, because we are gonna pour olive oil in there in a minute. Once you've got your jars filled, this doesn't have oil in it yet, but once you have your jars filled, and you can either cap them and put them in a cool, dark place. Standard time frame, everything takes 4 to 6 weeks, except for hot process soap or hot process oil infusion. And that's what we're going to do with this. That's why it doesn't have oil in it yet. Here's our cinnamon, and I just took those long sticks. I took 2 or 3 of them and literally laid it on the edge of the counter and bent it, and it snapped. And when I snapped them, I could smell cinnamon. So I think this might actually work. We'll find out. All right, now let's actually do this. Once your oil preparation is ready, and this has been a hot infusion, this is rosemary, this is what you're going to do. You're going to find a bottle appropriate size for the volume of oil. You're going to put a fine mesh strainer or a cheesecloth. I don't personally use cheesecloth. I don't recommend it. I keep my cheesecloth for woodworking and wood finishing. I prefer a strainer or even a square of a men's hanky, that fine cotton material or muslin or something like that. Anyway, you're going to line your strainer with that. In this case, I don't have any worries about my rosemary because it's rosemary leaves. It's not fine rosemary powder. So I'm not going to worry about it. And I'm not going to use this funnel because the only jar I have, I think, at this point that will accommodate it is this. I think it was, what was, apple cider vinegar. And I want to tell you, I want to point out two things before we go any further. If you can't find your lids, and this is a candle, it does have a lid, or was a candle. If you can't find your lids, these silicone lid replacements are a good investment. I don't use these normally because I have a 2 baskets full of lids from jars that are supposed to match what my jar inventory is, ish. So silicone caps. In this case, for this application, it would not have made a difference because this jar is a different size. So what we're going to do basically is tip the oil in, and it's cool today, so the oil is a little sluggish. I don't mind that because I can actually just let this, once the free running oil comes out of it, I can just let it drain on the counter because I don't have any cats or curious children or the dog even anymore to disrupt it. Now, see all this rosemary left in here as the oil drains out? I can reuse this. I don't have to unpack this jar. I can fill this jar up again with any oil I choose, although if you think ahead a little bit, what might you want to use it for? This is an early pour-off of that lemon balm, and I could tell that I was not getting the fragrance that I wanted. So I said, all right, this is a bust. I'll have to figure out some other way to use the lemon balm. But I want you to see one way you can use it if your herb just didn't come out the way you thought it would. One way you can use it is as a colorant for soap making. Now, that's the concentrate. That's a beautiful green. I hope the camera is picking up how beautiful that green is. When you mix it in, say, a pound of soap, it's not going to be that dark color, it's going to be pale, but it's still going to be a beautiful pale shade. You can use this oil as part of your liquid oils in your soap recipe and not feel like you have wasted both herbal material and expensive oil for an experiment, which I'll admit I felt that way when I first decanted this. Not to worry. So we've talked about preparing your jars, we've talked about getting your oil started, we've talked about how to strain it out. Now, for those of you who are my subscribers and you've been watching various messes that I make over time, we've done this before, several times. We just didn't do it with oil. What am I talking about? There you go. There's our fire cider, and we're going to talk about our fire cider here in the next episode or two. Well, that's a wrap. Next week we'll be talking about our ferments and our fire cider. I hope you enjoyed this little look at oil infusions, and I hope that you are well. I'll see you soon.